Working from home and wondering what tax relief is available to you? Well, in this video, I'm going to run through the help available to you. As a business accountant, my team and I spend all day long helping business owners on their journey, and a common question we get asked, especially around this time as we're recording the video, is I'm now working from home, or I want to start working from home and I'm incurring costs. What can I do? What tax relief is available? What help is there? Well, in this video, I'm going to run you through those. Depending what situation you're in, depends on the type of relief available. So I'm going to talk you through all of that. Before I do, make sure to click the subscribe button below if you like this type of video, and you'll be notified whenever we release another one. So there's a few scenarios I want to talk about. So option one, if you're a director of a limited company, then I want to talk about whether you're an employee generally of any other company ever, if you're just employed in a role. And thirdly, I want to talk about if you're a sole trader or in a partnership, because there's a few different things going on. So let's start then with director of a limited company. Now, if you're a director of a reasonably large limited company, or somewhere where most of your salary is coming in a PAYE income, you're on payroll, you get paid money, not just the token amount of salary that normally gets put through, but you're actually on a fairly decent salary, then really you want to listen to the bit that I'm going to talk about in terms of being an employee. But let's presume you're, like most directors, you're taking a small salary and then topping your money up with dividends. The best thing you can claim probably is the flat rate deduction of £6 a week as we're recording this in the 2021 tax year. So they allow you £6 a week without receipts to cover your home costs. So that's available. Now, you can deal with that several ways in your accounts. You could either put that in so that as an actual claim, you can physically pay yourself that £6 a week back, or you could also just make a note in your accounts. You can ask your accountant or your bookkeeper to do this and put it into what is known as your director's loan account. So it's money that's owed back to you tax-free at a later date. Doing any of those methods means that you're going to get a corporation tax deduction and you're not going to pay any personal tax on that payment to you. So that's a really great way of doing it. Okay, it's not masses of money, but it will save you some money and you're going to get paid some for the costs. So that's what happens if you are a director. There's also another way of doing it, but it's outside the scope of this video, but you could actually rent some of your house to your office under a license to occupy. There's all these other things that you can do. That might be a video for another day, but for this video, let's stick to the flat rate. And that's all done internally. You can just make that payment yourself to yourself, or you can get your bookkeeper or accountants to enter that entry for use of home into your books. So the second type of person is if you're an employee, and this one's pretty popular at the moment because it's the majority of the UK. You know, if you're actually employed, you can deal with HMRC and get an amount coded into your tax code to deal with this. So again, it's exactly the same rules we've just spoke about. The current flat rate simplified expense is £6 per week that you're allowed from working at home. You can backdate this, so you can take it back to, let's say you started during the middle of the coronavirus, during lockdown, it was March. You can go back and backdate that. It's all done online through a claim form. The form's P87, and I've linked it in the box below. You can currently do that with a postal form, or you can do it online. You need to sign up for a government gateway account. Doesn't take very long, and then you can go through and claim that and do your back claim. What I would say is if you're posting it, expect long delays. As you'd imagine, there's a lot of people doing this. I think Money Saving Expert and a few other people have generated some momentum with these claims as well. So I'd imagine they're pretty inundated at the moment, but doing it electronically is a pretty prompt way to do that. And again, what they'll do is they'll then put that into your tax code, and your tax code will be changed. You get instant relief. It comes in your pay slip. Now, you might be thinking, oh, £6 a week, that sounds pretty good. Of course, it's £6 a week tax relief. Now, the reason that's important is that it's not that you're suddenly going to get £6 a week back in your pay packet. It's the relief of £6, what it actually translates to. If you're earning under 50,000 a year, so that's under the basic rate band if you're watching this in a later tax year, then you're going to get £1.20 a week back in actual cash, or £2.40 if you're earning over 50,000 in the higher rate tax. So it's not as amazing as it seems, but you know, at the end of the day, it's something to go towards the extra costs and heating you, and especially as we move through the winter months, I think it might well be good for your heating bill. Now, it should be said, you don't actually need to keep any records for this because it's a flat rate expense. They don't need it. So this is why it's a really good relief in a lot of ways. There's no record keeping requirements, which can be a stumbling block for some people. There's only two things to mention on this really from a practical point. One is you're probably going to need your pay slip or something that shows your employer's PAYE reference, as it's known, because that's often asked on the form. That can normally be found on your pay slip, or if you've worked there before for a year, you've got a P60, as it's known, the form that tells you what you earned during last tax year. That'll have it on as well. So you need that for the application. The The other thing to note is that if you're actually getting paid, because the employer could pay you, like we talked about a minute ago with directors of a limited company, they could physically pay you £6 a week to contribute towards your costs. If they're doing that, it's not really worth doing this claim for lots of different reasons. So just bear that in mind if they're physically paying you something. But if they're not paying you the full £6, that might be worth a claim as well. So if you've got that kind of situation, it's worth checking out with HMRC and explaining what's going on there, and also chatting to your employer about it, because they'll probably be able to give you a bit more advice. But if you're not getting anything, which is the majority of people in this case, then do go and do the claim. As I say, then what will happen is they'll change your tax code so that when it gets updated, you'll get the tax relief in your actual pay. So it's kind of like almost an instant refund in a way. If it's in an old tax year, so you were claiming before the 5th of April, that might get sent to you individually, sometimes in a check, sometimes online and all this kind of stuff once they've processed it. But for your current year, it'll be almost instant in your payslip. Of course, if you're not actually paying tax, then there's not going to be really any benefit. It's not like some magic tax refund will come back through the post. It's just if you have paid tax, it will help you, and you will get an instant refund in terms of it being coded straight back into your next payslip. You almost probably won't see it, because you'll just see that you'll maybe get a little bit more pay in that month's pay, but you will be getting it. Trust me. Now, if you're sole trader or you're in a partnership, we actually did another video on this a while back. You might see a slightly wider version of me talking about this on a video. And effectively, you can do a similar thing to what we've just described. There is something called a simplified expenses that allows you to claim a fixed rate. Now, that's somewhere between £10 and £26 a month at the time of recording. And it depends on how many hours you work at home. That's available to you. Again, you don't really need any records. It's just a case of picking the appropriate amount of rate for the hours you're working. Or, and you can check out this in a bit more detail in the video we did, you can claim a percentage of your overall costs based on a fair and reasonable method. There's no set method for this, and that's a whole nother set of detail, but it is possible to claim more costs as a self-employed individual. But realistically, I think for the majority of our clients, we see they tend to claim the flat rate, because by the time you've hived it all back down to what you can actually claim, for a lot of businesses, it's a reasonable assumption that they're going to be in that sort of ballpark anyway. But do check if you're running something like a printing business from home, or something that uses a lot of electricity, or there's a lot of other costs, and claiming your true costs, or at least a percentage of them, can really be quite beneficial. And that's it, a really brief summary of the reliefs that are available to you for working at home. If you've got any comments, or you've had any success doing this, please do let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. If you found this video useful, be sure to share it with your networks, like and subscribe, and share it with anybody who you think may benefit. We'll see you on the next one.